Hey, my name is Justin Case, and here we are once again voting, and this time we are voting on HIP-103 Mobile Oracle Hex Boosting. And I'm going to talk about this HIP right now, but do please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel so you get more information like this on a regular basis. And one reason is because stuff like this is going to come down the pike and you're going to freak out because you just bought that base cell CBRS 436H and now you're going to lose rewards and you're going to say, why did I just spend $6,500 buying this equipment? What, am I crazy? Yeah, that's, and mine just arrived today, so I'm getting a little paranoid, but let's talk about it right now first, and then if you want to know about my new system, I'm probably going to create another video about it in the future. First, though, let's talk about HIP-103. So HIP-103, and I'll just going to read the summary right here. This Helium improvement proposal discusses how Oracle boosting rewards are calculated and creates 3 new oracles. Footfall oracles, incentive deployments in areas that have heavy footfall traffic. Land type oracles, discourages deployments that cover empty fields and bodies of water. Urbanized oracles, encourages deployment in urbanized areas. Okay, so let's be clear. If it says it's boosting, it's not boosting. You can't call something boosting if it has incentives for these, decentivizes these, and encourages these. So basically, looks like Andy and Zero Tweets and Jeremy play a lot of Settlers of Catan, where they have all of these hexes that some of them are for plains and some of them are forests, and you get certain points depending on which one you're in. These guys must play a lot of Settlers of Catan, and they want to basically turn Helium into Settlers of Catan. So let's see here. Motivation. HIP-74 was passed to incorporate obstruction data and radio signal power to the POC reward model. However, it weighs all hexes equally, even if there's a low probability of actual coverage being needed in the area. This proposal aims to improve the value of the network coverage by incentivizing users to deploy CBRS and Wi-Fi in areas where oracles have determined coverage is most likely needed. Now, I like that. That's positive. I think it is important that we put coverage where it's needed. Let's not worry about the stakeholders. Let's get the detailed explanation. Mobile boosting oracles are data sources used to estimate how useful mobile coverage will be in specific areas. This HIP proposes while allowing oracles to be established to help guide deployments in areas that need more coverage. And it doesn't say and reducing them in areas that don't need coverage, but that's what they want, right? Oracles will be used to give applicable hexes boosts, increasing or decreasing, based on the areas they are deployed in. The data from each oracle will be divided into categories and assigned a letter, beginning with A as the highest value, proceeding through the alphabet from there, B being the second highest value, and C is the third highest value, based on the different types of locations in those that are delineated in the data. The categories for each oracle will then be combined to identify areas of overlap to create combined values. For example, if a footfall oracle is A and a land type oracle is B and the urbanization oracle is A, then the hex will be assigned a combination value of ABA. Yeah, these guys really like to play games. Okay, once all combinations are accounted for, each combination value will be assigned an oracle multiplier as outlined here. So, footfall area, POI, I don't see what POI stands for, so it's kind of hard to understand what footfall area means. Land type, okay, so A is built up, B is tree cover or shrubland or grassland. And C is bare, sparse cropland, snow or ice, water, wetlands, mangroves, moss, and lichen. And by the way, I did do some research, obviously, before I started this video, and mangroves apparently are everybody's backyards. So I'm a little confused at. I guess they just say, "Oh, well, there's a house there, so it's built up." But I'm a little confused at how they're going to do this. And then urbanized just breaks it down to urban, non-urban. I want to go back to that footfall, though. Where does it say about footfall? Heavy foot traffics, and I want to know where they figure out foot traffic. So I want to know what POI is. All right. Further, the HIP authors acknowledge that areas that service providers boost through hexes are areas where coverage is needed the most. Therefore, if a Res 12 hex is boosted by a service provider, the Oracle multiplier will automatically be 1 regardless of what combination value is assigned. So if it's boosted, it's boosted. They're saying that's their loophole. Once the Oracle multiplier is calculated, this will be multiplied by service provider hex boosts from HIP 84 and then multiplied by the radio/Wi-Fi hex limit multiplier identified in 85 and 105, and the whole calculation is followed. I'm not going to read this calculation. Let's go into these different types of oracles. Okay, this HIP will use data from third parties like Verisat and SafeGraph, which identifies a level of footfall traffic in an area and uses the method as described here to determine areas that should have higher multipliers based off of the level of footfall. The data can be visualized on a map here. Nova Labs has agreed to pay for the API to this data and refresh this data at least once per quarter or every 3 months. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pass through this to see where exactly they figure. Point of interest. Okay. Further, from the review of footfall data, it's acknowledged that the HIP authors that some point of interest, such as schools, hospitals, etc., may not be included in the footfall data API purchased due to privacy laws. Therefore, this HIP grants authority for any SubDAO approved service provider to add the following areas to the footfall oracle as a POI. So again, POI is point of interest. Now I know that. Of less than 1 that are not correctly represented in the data. I'm a little confused who's the SubDAO service provider in this case, but okay, for schools or colleges or sports arenas or hospitals or parks. Okay, and I just want to go back. So, okay. So if there's no data, it's a B. And if there's no POI at all, it's a C. And this is referenced here. So I'm trying to get in and kind of take a look at one of these to get an example. It's just, I guess it's just saying that these are good. Whatever's in the orange areas. I'm going to go to where I live. I'm going to go back to Denver here. Let's see. I'm going to guess, just looking at it, that it's saying that maybe these are downtown areas and that the suburbs just don't matter. A little confused by this map. I'd love more detail to be voting on a HIP like this. I mean, certainly I get that we want more footfall traffic. Sorry, on the wrong HIP there. We want more footfall traffic areas to be assigned a higher value, but I don't understand by that map how it's determined. What's the level per hex that they're basing it on? I'm not against this HIP as I'm reading it. I just want more information. Let's look at okay, wait, is that the footfall oracle? Yeah, that's the footfall oracle. Okay, so let's look at the urbanization oracle. This HIP will use data from the United States Census Bureau urban rural classification as defined here and visualized here to provide multipliers based on if they are or not urbanized. Okay, so we have something for urbanization. This third party data, the HIP authors recognize there may be gaps. Therefore, data from oracles will be represented at res 10 hex levels, and all res 12 hex levels within each res 10 hex will have the same value. Okay, and Nova Labs has agreed to pay blah, 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 blah. Okay, so urbanization, not urbanized, and then outside the United States. I'm a little confused at the outside the United States because I've been looking, at the current map, and obviously we're trying to get into Mexico here, and we are boosting these areas right here in Mexico, which I'm fine with, but then how will that work if we're passing this HIP? I don't get it. They shouldn't have they changed some of the language before us voting on this? I don't get it. Okay, either way, urban versus not urban. So I'm just going to jump over to my urban versus not urban map here. I was a little sad because I'm here on the corner here, and I'm trying to close up some of these windows so you can see. There we go. I'm right here, and there's a lot of not urban around me. But hey, it's a 10 hex, and I'm not sure how big that is. So we have no comparisons to understand. Also, I was super mad because I was going to move some of my CBRS setup to my buddy's place, but he lives between here and here. He lives right around here. And so what is he? He's not urban, and we're done? Is that it? Or is it on the level, on the 10 hex, he's okay? See, I can't do anything without proper knowledge, and I just don't feel like we're getting proper knowledge by the examples that they're giving us here. But either way, that's a B, right? I guess that's a B. So, yeah, I don't know. And it doesn't show anything for, it just has the urbanization oracle and the footfall oracle. It doesn't really go into the land type oracle. It just kind of, oh, there it is. Land type oracle. My apologies. This HIP will use data from the European Space Agency as visualized here to identify the type of land and provide multipliers based off of the land. New data from this source will be incorporated into the oracle as it becomes available. The land type oracle will also be smoothed out to the res 10 like the footfall oracle above. When the source publishes new data, the data for this oracle will be refreshed within 6 calendar months. Okay, and that is this one right here, which, this is what I was saying. Okay, so this is tree cover. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I told you earlier they were mangroves, but I guess it's tree cover. Mangroves is a little brighter, so my apologies. I was wrong in that information. But interesting how they're doing it. So grassland is, well, yellow. That makes sense. Bare, sparse vegetation here. Cropland, that's not a farm right there. That's a park. So I'm a little bothered by that. But, I can understand they're getting it from Europe to enforce things in the United States. I'm a little bothered by that. The European Space Agency determines the land types in the United States. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. Deployment implications. These oracles will be implemented one by one to have a faster rollout. It'll take about 30 days to implement each oracle, so 90 days for full implementation. Okay. Um, so 30 days after passing to figure out urban, not urban, and outside the United States. 60 days then to do the footfall oracle, and then 90 days after passing to do all three so that they include the land types. Drawbacks. The implementation of this proposal could increase the complexity of the Helium mobile network. Oh, you think? And modeled coverage scores. There may be concerns about the accuracy of the population data provided, or they need to update the data regularly. Yeah, I think we can question the accuracy. But I mean, I realize they're grasping at straws here, and here's why they are: because they're trying to stop people like this guy here who's doing coverage over the water and getting a lot of money for not helping at all. And I think there's somebody on an oil rig out there who has hit the mother lode and is getting a lot of mobile a day, but doing nothing. What I don't get though is if they're going to do this, why not do the types of land first so they can get rid of the people who are covering water? I think that would be helpful. Don't get me wrong. This also impacts me with a lot of open land around me. But I accept all this. I think it's good. I don't really like how incorrect the data can be. I don't like that we're basically saying, okay, just use this information, and just like the planner, you're guessing. You're creating a guessing machine based off of questionable data out there. But it's the only data we have. I get that. If you guys know better data sources, maybe you need to send them to Helium or the people who have been voted in to manage some of this stuff, and let them know. So at the end of the day, I do think it's worth considering for all my jokes about it. I think that this can be helpful, but it's going to cause a lot of people some frustration. Myself included. But hopefully, in the long term, it will help us focus the network where we need it. So I get that. All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening to me review HIP again 103. If you like more information like this, please do like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great evening.